All right, so I checked out a brand new 2024 horror film called Consumed, and I did so because it had Devon Sawa in it. And this is about a couple who is hiking through the woods together, and something starts to chase them, and they have to survive. I mean, that's basically all you need to know with this movie. You know, I watched this yesterday, and I was kind of like, throughout the film, I was kind of back and forth on it. It's well shot. You know, the scenery looks good, of course. They're out in the woods, and the way it's shot, I liked all of that. The acting from everyone is fine. It's good. Really, where I was having an issue is in the underdevelopment of a lot of the core features of these people's lives. Like, they're really trying to go for an emotional impact with these characters. And while it's half there, like, the presentation of them and the implications behind that are there, and they're explored somewhat. I just don't feel like they're explored well enough to connect deeper so that we have that impact when it is necessary. So that was one issue. Another issue was that the monster in this, like, they had it's a creature feature. I can spoil it what that is right now so that some of you can be more interested, but I've never seen it done this way. And this is a Wendigo. So when we see this thing, it's this like mist that's like flying around. And that looked really cheap, honestly. And it kind of kept distracting me from the film. I didn't totally hate it. I wasn't buying into it. So, like, what I mean by I didn't totally hate it is I didn't like the design. I think it hurt the film for sure. But I was into the film enough that when it was happening, it was kind of like, oh, well, that's not working. But I'm into this enough to stick with it. As to where a movie like Man Versus, I think was what that movie was called. I was super into that movie. There was this guy, he was like a survivalist, and he was out there documenting his man versus nature kind of thing. And then it's like a Predator movie, but with one guy instead of like a whole group of soldiers. And I was like super, super into it. I thought the movie was tense and crazy and whatever. And then literally the second the monster was revealed, I shut the film off. It was such bad, insanely awful CGI. Like, crazy bad. I shut the film off. Within like 5 seconds of seeing it, I was like, oh, hell no. And I was like 35, 40 minutes in that movie, whenever you see it for the first time. So it wasn't anything like that, right? Like, that can end a film. I did go back and finish that Man versus movie, and the movie was actually good. But the special effects on the monster were all CG, and we're talking like PlayStation 2 graphic. It was so bad that I was like, I couldn't look past it. But I eventually went back because I liked the movie so much up till that point. I finished it. As to where with this one, it was kind of like there, and I was like, okay, like, it's not terrible. It's just not good. And I was like, man, this. But that being said, it's shown in its true form at the end. And had they had that be the look of the creature the entire film, that would have elevated this tremendously, because that was wild looking. That was fucking crazy looking, right? I didn't get a look at it for too long. You might get 30, 40 seconds looking at it. I don't know, somewhere in that area. But it was wild. It was crazy. Like, it was like, oh, well, where was this thing the whole fucking movie? Right? So they have a really wicked, crazy design on this thing in the end, but the whole rest of the time it's just like this floating, mist kind of garbage. And it just looks stupid because there's like an entity spirit kind of thing in the center of it as it's flying around. It's like, glowing or something. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. There's also some really cool like aftermath gore, right? From like bodies that are discovered and skin that's been like skinned off of people and hung up and stitched together and stuff. And there's this really cool shot. I won't say what it is, but I through some of the skin, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. So that stuff was really cool. So you have this like really really cool aftermath gore, and you get a good amount of it. A lot of different bodies, a lot of different skin, and all that stuff. So that was cool. And then the final look of the Wendigo was like really cool, and I wish I could have got a lot more of that. There's some tense scenes. I liked the character that Devon Sawa plays in this. That kind of, he was giving me a bit of a Predator feel, like Duchess character to a degree, and I just wish I would have connected with it more. Sure, her husband in this movie doesn't do much of anything, and there's a really deep emotional story with both her, our main character, and Devon Sawa's character. And they're both established. They're both told to us. But I didn't fully invest. And it really would have helped. And then make that monster the monster throughout. So really like pay off the emotional stuff. Really develop that a little bit more. Connect us to it a little more. They did an okay job. I'm not saying they did a bad job. I think they did a fine job. But for it to really connect, I think you could have just developed that stuff a bit more, and then the creature design, make it more of what we saw at the end, up some of the body count, all that. This had good pieces laced throughout, so much so that I put this on late last night, like at 11 something at night, and I ended up watching the whole thing. I was going to shut it off multiple times, but I was into it enough to finish it. So I don't think it's a bad watch. A lot of really dumb reviews on this one. There's one of the dumbest reviews I've ever seen in my life on IMDb, because I always like to look to see like how people are reacting to a movie. I just get curious, and IMDb is kind of my go-to. I've been using it for like 15 years, so it's kind of like the go-to for me, that I'm just conditioned to. But there was one in there that was like, dude meets a chick, and the dude does this like dude thing. Oh my. You gotta look for it. It's awful. It's the worst review I've ever seen in my entire life. But like, everyone's so negative on this one, and they're all like 1 star, 2 star. Bullshit. No, this one's all right. Could have been better for sure. And I think it's a little bit wasted potential, because I thought this could have been so much better. But I enjoyed it fine enough. And I think if you're a Wendigo fan, you want to see kind of a different spin on it, then check this one out. So I don't know. Other than that, let me know. I'll see you in the comments. All right. Bye.